The Committee of the Whole meeting for November 18, 2025 is hereby called to order at 5:01 p.m. Will the clerk please call the roll?
Alderman Barrero.
Here.
Alderwoman Garza.
Here.
Alderman Masiacos.
Present.
Alderman Nunez.
Here.
Alderman Franco.
Here.
Alderman Seville.
Here.
Alderman Benuelos.
Here.
Alderwoman Smith.
Here.
Alderman Bug.
Alderman Bug, can you hear us?
Yes.
Okay.
Okay, Alderwoman Bade.
Yes, here.
Alderman Larson.
Here.
Alderman White.
Here.
Mayor Lash is present.
We need a special vote to allow Alderman Bug to participate remotely. Alderman Bug requests permission to participate remotely per Section 2-80 based on a reasonable anticipation of an extended illness.
So moved.
Is there a motion to
Second.
allow Alderman Bug to participate remotely? A motion was made by Alderwoman Smith, seconded by Alderman Franco. All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries by voice vote. Next, we'll have the approval of the minutes. Agenda item 250938, approval of the minutes for Tuesday, November 4th, 2025, Committee of the Whole meeting.
So moved.
Second.
Motion by Alderwoman Smith, second by Alderman Franco. All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries by voice vote. Next, we'll move to the mayor's report. I know you got something short for us, John.
Thank you so much, Mayor. Another celebratory evening here at Aurora, as tonight we're recognizing two standout students from East Aurora School District 131 who've attained a prestigious national honor. The Jack Kent Cook Young Scholars Program is a selective 5-year pre-college scholarship for exceptionally promising 7th grade students with financial need. It provides comprehensive academic and college advising, as well as financial support for school, summer programs, internships, and other learning enrichment opportunities. Less than 100 students from around the country have been selected from this scholarship, including 2 students right here in Aurora from District 131. Please join us in recognizing Yahir Ferrara of Fred Rogers Magnet Academy and Taleen Kandakji of Cowherd Middle School. Please come on up. We will invite the mayor, family, friends, East Aurora School District officials, any alumni, and city council members who'd like to come down and join us for a photo op and for an opportunity to speak. As everybody comes on down, a little bit of information on both students. Now, here's a high honor roll student, member of the National Junior Honor Society math team and band, and is proud of his Mexican heritage. Taleen started at Cowherd in 7th grade, speaking Arabic at first. She taught herself both Spanish and English. She's maintained straight A's throughout her time at Cowherd. She's also involved in volleyball, National Junior Honor Society, and student helpers. A round of applause again for these 2 standout students. Very impressive.
Oh, the family can come on up and just join us. Why don't you guys hop in behind us as Ward 1, Ward 2. Any other aldermen want to join us? Okay, I'm going to begin. We'll take some photos in a second. Just recognizing Yahir Ferreira for being named Jack Kent Cook Young Scholar, proudly representing the City of Aurora, East Aurora School District 131 at the national level with a commitment to excellence in the classroom and a continued pursuit of learning. Just want to say this is really incredible for both of you, with less than 100 people being recognized around the entire United States. To have 2 from East Aurora is just really amazing. We'll do a photo second. Okay, and then Taleen Kandakji. One more time. Kandakji. So sorry. For being named Jack Kent Cook Young Scholar, proudly representing the City of Aurora and East Aurora District 131 at the national level, with a commitment to excellence in the classroom and continued pursuit of learning. And you see everybody. I can't. Very nice, guys. Very nice. I'm going to give you guys both an opportunity opportunity to say something about your experience. But just really quick, there's other good news. The headline of the Beacon the other day talked about people not attending school, but it was sort of down. You had to keep reading a couple paragraphs in that talked about continued rising graduation rates and improvements at District 131 for academic performance. So it's good to see not just these two, but the school district as a whole performing well, while we're continuing to see fewer people going to school, largely because of the continued presence of ICE in the community. I think it's good to see some good news every now and then and recognize it. So I would just want to say, give you guys both an opportunity to step up to the microphone.
Hi. Okay. Hi, my name is Taline, and I just want to say I'm really so happy to be here. I'm so proud to be here and to get to see everybody in here. I'm really proud of getting this scholarship. It's really a good opportunity to get. We even got a chance to go to Virginia to meet the staff members, and it was a really fun experience. And thank you so much.
Hi, I'm Yair, and I just want to say I'm super grateful for everyone in East Aurora and from the scholarship, because they have given me a chance like this. You know, when I was first applying, my counselor told me, oh, you should totally apply. And I was like, okay, but I didn't really feel like I would win the scholarship. I didn't think, I was smart enough for something like this, And the whole process throughout the summer, I was like, oh, what if I don't get in, I probably won't. But I did end up getting in, and, I was so happy. I was so, excited for, all this new doors that would open for me. So I want to say I'm super grateful for everyone in my life who, contributed to this great achievement. So thank you.
Thank you both for representing the city and the school district very well. Thank you.
Any East Aurora School District members would like to comment as well? I know this is such a significant moment for the school district, too.
Yeah. My name is Michaela Williams. I was Taline's math teacher last year. Can I make this a little taller? Thanks. Thank you. It was just such a joy to have her in class. Middle school is hard for anybody, but when you add the new factors of a new country, a new culture, and a new language, life is hard. And Taline and I would get to sit and talk about what it means to just process all of those changes and how to make new friends. And I've just gotten to see her take one challenge at a time and just conquer them. Classes were hard because of the English, so she learned English. And it was hard to make friends because they spoke Spanish, and so she learned Spanish. And so Taline will graduate middle school speaking fluently 4 languages. She's on track to get an yes. She's on track to get an A in an honors level math class, which means she's taking high school math in her 3rd language, and she's getting an A. And she's now been recognized on a national level. And on top of that, she has friends in every class and sets just a bar for excellence for everybody that she knows and meets. And so I love her, and I'm super thankful, and was not surprised at all that she won this award. So congratulations.
One more round of applause for Yahir and Taline. Impressive.
Thanks again, everybody, and we'll continue with the rest of the meeting, but congratulations again.
Thank you very much. As a reminder, as part of this program, each Cook Young Scholar and their family will be designated an educational advisor to develop and follow an individualized learning plan. The advisor will help both parents and students select a rigorous high school course load, helping to prepare both students to thrive in top colleges across the country. And based on where they're at now, I think they're going to be going to some great colleges down the line. So very impressive stuff on their end. One final announcement before we move forward, just a reminder to the community that this Saturday at the new Public Works facility located at 2185 Liberty Street, there is going to be a budget town hall, the 2026 budget town hall hosted by the mayor's office, including Mayor John Lash. There will be a comprehensive PowerPoint on the budget, and citizens will have a great opportunity to engage in a great dialogue and a Q&A with the mayor and the mayor's office on how the budget is looking like. That will begin at 11:30. You are all welcome to come on out. So thank you so much.
All right. Thanks, John. And I think we have, as part of the mayor's report, just a short update on the snow report. Is that you, Adrian, or somebody else? Okay. And do we have your slides all loaded up? Okay. So in case we get 2 inches or more of snow,
Yes.
Adrian's getting ready.
That's a tough act to follow. That's very tough. So congratulations to, if they're still here, to the two young kids. Adrian Perez, good evening, Adrian Perez, Superintendent of Streets. I'm here to talk about a little bit of snow update and some information for you. As a whole, I know there's some new committee members, aldermen, so if you have any questions, I'll wait for the end. But as we start, I want to go over a little bit of our operations. In total, we have 36 snow routes. In those 36 snow routes, we have 1,300 lane miles. Put that in perspective, if you take I-80, that's going from Chicago to Salt Lake City. And within that, you know, sometimes we may have to go multiple times, so you can just see we may be doing lane mileage that crosses a stretch of the whole entire the map. So a lot of mileage to cover. Seems like a little time to get it done, but nonetheless, we always make it happen. Within our three divisions, streets, water and sewer, and parks, we're the main three divisions that are out there plowing these streets. Streets has the 19 routes, water and sewer 7, parks has 10. Within those, we have our contractors, J&S, Tri-County, A+AJ, Mundy's, Semper Fi, Winninger, and Sinot. All three of our divisions within that public works or any entity out there that's helping us plow, we try to be on a 24-hour coverage. So that means we may go into these winter shifts with a first, second, and third shift. Streets has that bulk of those snow routes, so we generally try to have a bigger 24-hour coverage. That doesn't mean that the other divisions, because I don't dictate what those divisions do per se, but they do try to have those 24-hour coverage time frames. We always try to make that work some way, shape, or form. Like water and sewer, they've got main breaks that happen. It's unfortunate, but it does happen, so we still try to have that 24-hour coverage. As we go on, normally in the last couple of years, it's been a while, we've had these temporary maintenance worker ones. We classify them as our snowbirds. This year we opted out to have them. There's been an increase of hiring. Now with going into January, the new public works umbrella is expanded, so we're hoping that we now, given what happened to us in the summertime, we actually pulled from internal personnel that we may needed to help us assist, so we're hoping to piggyback off kind of that same program and utilize internal staff instead of having to pay for and extenuate that budget for that 2026. So there should be some cost savings immediately right there. Just an overview. When we talk about snow operations, you know, if you're looking at our City of Aurora map in itself, these are our main arteries that are within the City of Aurora. And this is just, you know, these been tweaked over the years, so it doesn't mean one's more important than the other. This is just to help with our emergency services. So when we're out plowing, this helps us and emergency services, APD, AFD, or EMA get out to these locations that may, you know, when they're driving, they may need help. Anytime they call us, if they need us to maybe be a frontline vehicle to respond because we have a lot of snow on the ground, we've done in the past, but I just wanted to put it out. I like visuals, so a map just to show how many arteries of roadway that we have to take care of, because most are residentials, you're within blocks of a main roadway, so we try to clear these first. Talking about that process, you know, we're always monitoring 24/7 of the weather. We have paid services that we use. We use the DTN, Weather Continental, local weather. We're using also active employees. The biggest one, sometimes we've had these anomalies where the river separates between the far east side, all of a sudden it's snowing, you go to the far west side and there isn't anything, and everybody's wondering, well, why do we have trucks on one side versus the other? Operations change, anomalies happen, things happen, but we're always adjusting. We use those frontline employees and supervisors, the staff that's out there, including our executive staff that goes out. They do a fantastic job. Preventative maintenance. Now, when we talk about preventative maintenance, it's not just on our vehicles in themselves, but we do pre-treat our roadways, so that gives us a little bit of time for like our concrete surfaces, those steep hills and bridges, before they start freezing over, or at least when the snow starts hitting the ground. It gives it some time to melt, that melting point before, because we have to do call-outs. Unfortunately, the time when it snows is never ideal. It's never ideal situation. It's usually at night. But that just gives us some time so we can get the operations going and everybody involved called out. I don't want to, these next 2 points here, the less than 2 inches and greater than 2 inches when it comes to operations, it's not like the gold standard is just a general. If we're getting less than 2 inches, sometimes you'll see on reports that, hey, there's 2 inches on, you know, that fell. It may be 2 inches on grassy surfaces and maybe an inch on the roadways, the pavements and stuff that we pre-treat, the stuff that we've already maybe have left over from residue. Maybe melting points, and it just, our pavements are really good. They're black, the sun hits it, it warms up, it takes a while to cool down, but nonetheless, it's not the golden rule. So I don't want everybody to think that just because it's less than 2 inches, you know, we do get slush, so we may have to plow some of this stuff off if it's less than 2 inches, and it just accumulates. So again, just to touch, those primary and secondary roadways, those are our first main focuses before we go to those residentials, again, is for the emergency vehicles. The one biggest thing is, and I hope that we never have to have one of these, but during ice events, they do happen, and luckily it's been a while since we've had it. But beyond our winter operations, because our day-to-day staff, you know, we don't just do just snow. So if you have down power lines, traffic's, you know, really affecting, people are spinning out of control. I mean, these are things that we are responding to. We may have to shut certain things down, pull from other divisions to at least help us out. It just creates a real big havoc. We have to adjust operations, try different things that we possibly can get back to some more safer roads. But these ice events are always a big challenge for anybody in snow operations. Now, when we're talking about communication, the public information, you know, the communications team, Tony, John Z, they do a great job, you know, managing that social media aspect of things. You know, we have a great GIS team. Tim Shields is always working with me and staff to put things out. You know, and the city website has a lot of good information. Sometimes you just got to get through it and navigate it, but I want the public to know that the information is out there. If it does need to be tweaked, we're always here to, you know, make sure we get the right information out. But I want to stress that those things that are on there, whether it's parking enforcement, how we run operations, you know, we're always available to answer some of these questions. I've been out, boots on the ground, to physically go talk to homeowners if needed because they don't understand operations. It's what we're here for. So time and place is everything too, so I'm not going to stop everything in the middle of a havoc situation. It may be a return, but at least a phone call could help some these calls that you guys may get in your offices too. And there's just a general link to some of the stuff that I'm talking about today. Just, you know, I know it's maybe regurgitating. It's not always the best PowerPoint slide to talk about, but it is something that I think is really good information to touch on. And under that communication, we have a lot of internal and then the external communication. The three big entities that I have to talk to internally, Katrina Boatwright, when she's dealing with her snow angels, that consists of the volunteers and paid contractors. We're communicating constantly. She's asking for updates. She's giving me updates. Sometimes it's kind of she's stuck between a rock and a hard place because her budget is stressed because she doesn't know if I should send them out when there's ice events. Well, that vulnerable community, they may be coming home from appointments, and I'll just direct her as best as I can. I can't make her do the, you know, any judgment calls here, but I just try to give her the best information. Hey, we're still in a snow event. If you might need to do it twice, and that's just the reality of it. We don't want to see anybody get hurt. We don't want anybody to get injured. It's just the unfortunate time the weather happens, and we just try to react the best that we can. The other one is 311. Ricky and her team is great. They're fantastic. I'm always communicating with them as well. Just because of the fact of the operations, they do get calls, mailboxes that get hit, damaged. It does happen, unfortunately. Sometimes those mailboxes get hit, whether it's by a heavy snow plow that actually physically hits it, or just heavy wet snow that blows the wooden bases off. It happens, but they take those calls and then they get funneled through us, so we're there to respond. And definitely property standards. Obviously, there's parking enforcement policies during the winter, and I'll touch on a pilot program that's possibly in the works right now. But those are communications that I'm working with Josh on a day-to-day basis of, you know, things that are coming, try to forecast, you know, maybe a big event if we're going on 12s. Hey, we know we're going to get over 2 inches about this point, and cars need to just be off the road. It just helps overall operation safety. Things don't get frozen to the street. But those are things that I'm always, those three entities for sure. The fourth one I don't want to leave out, but I think it goes without saying. The emergency services, 911 telecom, AFD, APD, and EMA. Really, those entities in itself are going to call us regardless. They're going to let us know, hey, this intersection is really iced over. The bridge is icing over. We don't know what's going on. Can we get a salt truck out there? We're ready to respond. So here's another, about that communication piece, another map that is a live map that we use, interactive map, to let the public know. It's on the city website, so if they want to see where we're at as far as operationally, primaries being completed and whatnot, that just changes as we go through the operations from the start to completion. Again, just a couple of pictures to show, you know, 311, our senior snow shovel program, the ordinances that are there. It's all available on the city website, social media pages for anybody to look at. Same thing, the current program with property standards is that 2 inch or more parking on the parkways. We're starting to realize that there's some communities that just don't have enough room within their driveways to to do this. So how do we at least help these communities that are vulnerable, maybe don't have something, an avenue to park and move their cars so that they have a place to go without being severely ticketed or towed. So this is what we're going to be touching on next, which is the pilot program for alternative parking. The one closest neighbor to us would be the city of Elgin that currently runs an active program. I talked to the director directly, and they're active odd-even parking, and I'll just forward so you guys can see it. The signs that they have displayed in Elgin, and the only sign here, I know there's two evens, but one should say odd, but this is how they display their some of their odd-even streets. So, you know, if you could live on 1, 3, 5, 9, you know, eliminate parking on the other side and vice versa, the even parking. He stressed that there was a learning period and an adjustment period to it, because I've lived in metropolitan cities that had this program. Sometimes, you know, their program, it was like a 9 p.m. start. As a college kid who was broke, didn't want to take my lazy self to go outside and move at 9 p.m. I was blessed with a nice ticket. That's not what, I don't think that's what the intention, you know, is, just to get those, the cars to move over so that the services can continue. Because if we can move them left and right, we can clean those curbs, curb to curb. And the real reason right now that we're having a problem with maybe those cars not moving, as you may know, if it freezes there and you got sewer drains, that's going to create a real bad drainage problem, damming problem there. It just really becomes a lot of issues that we just don't want to deal with. Water and sewer doesn't want to deal with. But overall, the longer response time for cleanup is an overall increase in operational cost. Here are some of the streets that we discussed internally. Doesn't mean that these won't get tweaked, doesn't mean that they're all going to be there. Nonetheless, we're really trying actively. These are some of the hardest hitting streets, and again, there's a heat map that we did that stresses some of these roads. Some of them already have, if you see in these streets, like odd parking structure there already. That doesn't mean that we won't tweak that and make it an odd even. It's just these are the streets that were stressful for our vehicles to get down, and sometimes they just don't move. Here's that GIS and 311 collaboration heat map. These are when we get these calls that come in. That's all the plotted points that are on there, and I believe that's over 300. And the exact number, I believe, was 338 complaints over a snow season for parking, which means that our staff has to go out 338 times to address every single issue, which becomes very cumbersome in a snow season when you're talking about overtime and budgetary constraints. So we think that a parking pilot program would help alleviate some of this stuff, not only just the winter, but possibly maybe beyond. So how can you help, not only as you know, the council members, staff, or even the public? Number one is patience. Wintertime is one of the worst times to have to deal with this stuff. We understand it's not the best time. Some of our drivers are going to be up for 16 hours of the day during these snow ops, or even the people that are ticketing may have extended shifts, as well as APD. Vigilance, you know, continue to use the city resources, continue to use the website, social media platforms, and if those aren't good enough, then there's always 311 or our local numbers that we all can be reached at. Again, following those parking restriction guidelines, and even this pilot program, if once it does become, and if it does come into play, if we follow these rules and at least kind of get something going, and everybody is abiding by it, it makes operations that much smoother. And then lending a helping hand to the vulnerable community. You know, we don't want to see anybody, especially the elderly and vulnerable people that struggle to get their driveways clean. I don't want to see anybody get hurt, let alone, you know, my responsibility is those parkways and the roadways. You know, everybody here travels, everybody in the public travels. I don't want to see anybody get hurt. So again, I think we have a great community. I think everybody has an app to pitch in, and I think any way we can help each other, I think is the best. I thank you for your time, and I will leave it open for any questions.
Just briefly, so people are aware on the pilot program, the other intent is once they have the street sign notifications up on those streets, is to have community engagement go through with a sheet explaining it to people, and then also go through a second time before the 2 inches of snow to try and give people a chance to communicate exactly what's expected and that this is for snow only, and then to have our parking enforcement to target those streets afterwards so that the streets team can do it. And let's try it a few times and see if it's effective. According to Alderman's Chief of Staff. It took a while in Elgin, but it works very nicely up there, and hopefully we might even be able to use it year-round and clean the streets better with the street sweeper as well. The streets were selected by conversation of looking at where the tickets were, where these guys have trouble getting through in the wintertime, and then any input from the alderman is also welcome. So I know that we're looking at a street in Ward 6. I don't know if you've got back to me. We can certainly add any streets that you guys feel are important. Any other questions? I see Alderman Franco's lights on.
Yeah, so when you have the information about the pilot program, this is just for the winter.
As of now, we're going to try it in the winter and see how it goes.
Okay, well, that's neither here nor there, because there's spots, and what you mentioned, one of them in the 5th Ward, that people are parking on both sides of the streets, they have no place else to go. So if we took half of that parking away, where do they go?
Yeah.
Because it's a problem 24/7. And especially in the Monomoy area, the Heather, Best Place, so I want to know what we tell these people when they say, I don't have a spot on the other side of the street, what do I do? Do I get a ticket because I can't move, or what do I do? So that's a problem, and I just want to know mathematically, because this is a mathematical problem, X amount of cars, not enough parking, what do we do?
Yeah, and I think that's where the definitely community outreach, obviously, communicating with you, what you're hearing back from your constituents, not only that, or maybe calls that are coming into the mayor's office. And it's got to start somewhere, right? I mean, we can always say, hey, this might not work, or this will work. If we don't try, we don't know, but we also need to be able to get that feedback like you're saying. And I do take that definitely into consideration before maybe we select like a Monomoy, because it's a heavy trafficked area. So it's still in the works. So we're not, like I said, I don't want to say like this is right now. That again, hearing that feedback, that's great. Maybe there is an alternative parking for them to go to funnel to. We just know that that's been it is one of our troublesome areas to get down, but they also are the ones that call again for the extra services. So it's kind of one of those, it's a twofold thing, but I definitely take that into consideration, and then before we move forward, and maybe it is we have to go out there and maybe have that one-on-one conversation or a town hall meeting to discuss that, to figure out maybe where to displace those. But again, this is why we're in the phases of where we're at before we fully implement something like this. Those are discussions I like to at least hash out before we start rolling this out.
Well, and I understand that it's a pilot program, we give it a try. I would just hope that we wouldn't be ticketing people who says, I don't have a place to park. Because I didn't think it was so bad to park on the Parkway in the past. I think that worked last year. I didn't hear any feedback that it didn't. So, I just want to make sure that I don't have a spot to park. I kind of got stuck to me, and I got to pay a fine. I hope that doesn't occur. That would be a bad thing for us. So
The other piece of it is the flyer itself is similar to what's been used in the last 2 years about parking the yards. And as you know, some of the people have room in their drive to park. They just choose not to because it's inconvenient for the person to do the car shuffle at 5 or 6 in the morning when the first person has to leave, et cetera. So they're going to have to make some adjustments to get through the snow. And if there's complications that are really outside of that reach of that neighborhood, then we'll have to look at that street and other possibilities. But hopefully by being able to park on one side of the street, enough cars can be removed from the street. Alderman Messier.
sounds good. It really does. I just don't know if it mathematically can work, but it's a great idea.
Mm-hmm. Alderman Messiakos.
I can't say I don't like the idea. My only concern is you pick some streets in hometown, in the 3rd Ward. You couldn't pick up a tougher spot, not only in the 3rd Ward, probably in the city, to plow. My biggest concern is how is messaging. And I know we talked about just over the top community groups. Mayor mentioned engagement. You mentioned town halls. I'd like to add HOAs to that. HOAs are very important to being part of that discussion as well. Because there will be an uproar. It'll be more than just time getting used to in hometown. Hometown, they've had parking that's been removed from them before my time. And I don't think they've ever recovered from that. So that's been an issue from the get-go, and it still is out there. So my question is also about input. I'd like to offline talk to you about it as well. I don't want to do that here at the dais at this point because it's going to go for a while. But messaging is very important. You mentioned messaging, especially in hometown. even though there's parking on one side in some of these streets, you picked the ones that are a little bit more intricate.
Yep.
And they popped up like a red neon sign to me when I saw it on the screen. So appreciate being straightforward about it, giving the heads up. But I'd love to talk to you about it offline, but I'd also like to know exactly how we're going to engage our communities with this. What type of plan do we have? Because
We can add the HOA to that communication, but I think hitting each and every door is equally important in English and Spanish.
Okay, 'cause
Current plan.
yeah,
The
just
people that are going to be
understanding
impacted need to know,
Right,
and it's
absolutely.
going to take several passes of communication.
Okay, well, I appreciate that. Thank you very much, Mayor.
Alderman Seville.
Yes, thank you, Mayor. First off, a good presentation, a lot of good information. I appreciate what you compiled for us to take a review and see what you're doing here. Secondarily, the street Monomoy is not in the 5th Ward. It's split in half between the 4th Ward and the 6th Ward. I'd like an opportunity to meet with the Alderman Nunez of the 4th Ward and yourself. The challenge that we have with that whole area out there that's kind of split by Monomoy is preceding city council has approved a situation where we do not even have one off-street parking car per unit. And that's a challenge because there's no other place to park, and that's why they go into the 5th Ward and park across the street on Randall Road, and that's why it's so clustered all the time on Monomoy. The other challenge is there's actually part of the streets, half of the street is banned. You can't park on it because the way the parking situation is, they're actually able to park perpendicular to the curbing that's on the other side of the sidewalk. So I don't see how the other side can change. So, but I'd like an opportunity to sit down and chat with you about it. So,
Yep.
Appreciate it.
Any other questions from the council?
Yeah, Mayor.
Alderman White.
Maybe I missed it, but when will the signs start going up?
As soon as we finalize where we're at in that phase right now, this was informative. We're again getting ready for that approval phase internally, but we felt like it was a good idea to bring this forward to you. That way it was transparent enough that you guys were aware of what's going on, and maybe there was needed for a secondary conversation or any offline conversations about what's going on.
Okay, could you give a rough estimate? Some maybe December, January. It's going to start snowing soon.
I would generally the other programs like Elgin or any other city that's got something of a program like this, their timeframes are a little tweaked. Sometimes it's December 1st to March 31st. I'd like to have this sooner than later. We have an internal sign shop, so the signage isn't the problem. It may be one of those issues where signage might have to get removed, like as Alderman Seville notated that some spots may have some signage there already. If we're running a pilot program, it just may have to, get altered. But I would love, just to have this ready for December 1st, if at all possible.
Got it. Thank you.
Okay. Thank you, Adrian.
Very welcome.
If there's no further questions, we'll continue with the agenda. Next item on the agenda is public comment. Madam Clerk, do we have any members of the public wishing to offer public comment?
We do, Mr. Mayor.
That's exciting. Will you please read our rules for public comment?
Pursuant to the Open Meetings Act, all persons shall be permitted an opportunity to address public officials under the rules established and recorded by the council. Under our rules, any person may address the committee of the whole for up to 3 minutes with a maximum of 30 minutes allotted for all public comment. No person other than the timekeeper or the chair for the purpose of maintaining order may interrupt a person recognized for public comment during his or her comments. Members of the committee of the whole shall not engage with nor respond to a speaker during the time set aside for public comment. Staff is directed to follow up with members of the public with respect to any concerns raised during public comment within the scope of the city's authority following the adjournment of this meeting.
Thank you. Will the clerk please read the name of the next person wishing to offer public comment?
Jesse Olazaba.
Ms. Olazaba? Jesse Olazaba? Okay. Will the clerk please read the name of the next person wishing to offer public comment?
Angela Collier.
You can choose either side, adjust the microphone, you know the role. Welcome, Ms. Collier. You have 3 minutes beginning now.
How you doing? Good evening, Mayor Lash and City Council. I'm Angela Collier Ward 1 resident. Here tonight to talk about just a couple things. First, I want to thank my alderman, Dan Barrero, for the Harvest Fest. We served the children pumpkins, and he had an idea to do pizza, and we did pies. So the children were very happy. We signed them up for Toys for Tots. So next year will be even greater because I have the Halloween clearance, so we will be offering all those donations for the next year Harvest of Fest. So Toys for Tots is not a ward project. It is a county project. So those aldermen that are sponsoring and helping out with these children, we want you to encourage them to register. My last day will be Sunday that I'm registering, but they have until November 27th. We can't do last minute toys. They need to register. And I really continue to encourage that because I've been doing this program for 13 years and I've seen it. And Mayor, you've seen that last year, that the children and the families are crying because they don't have the toys. We're not going to live in fear because God has not given us the spirit of fear, but of love, power, and of a sound mind. So we're not going to have our children going through their holidays living through fear. We have to pray these spirits away and pray that God will make things better because we can't have our children in this city living in fear. We just can't do it. So we can make it better for them by offering these programs and continue to feed them, bringing the Santas and Thanksgiving, the turkeys. That's what we can do. So with the nonprofit organizations, I want to encourage you tonight to get your magnets on your cars, your churches, advertise your business a little better so you can, pick up some sponsors because city council can't take care of everybody. And we know this. So if you want to pick up sponsors, I encourage you to register with Spark Good with these Walmart grants. So you'll be able, and Myers has money, Target, these places have money to help your organizations. So I work with my alderman also, and Alderman Bug and Alderman Javier. So we do have a lot of merchandise coming. I just need the space to keep it because it's coming to my organization. Toys, socks, underwear, T-shirts, will be able to give these items to the community. I just need the aldermen to put the flyers on your page, encourage them to register. Thank you, Alderman Barrero. For those that ran out of food, we provided grocery for those that lost their SNAP benefits. So a lot of people didn't go without food because I was out there 3 days handing out bags of grocery with Walmart and Alderman Barrero. So I just want to thank you also, Casey, for helping my daughter. She was stranded in Jamaica, and she's home. Thank you. Have a good night.
Thank you, Ms. Collier. Madam Clerk, will you please read the name of the next person wishing to offer public comment?
Sun Knight.
Welcome, Sonia. You have 3 minutes beginning now.
Okay. Black athletes have historically faced and continue to face experience of racism, leading to significant struggles in sports and academics. Mistreatment of black college athletes involves racial discrimination, psychological stress rooted in a long history of anti-black bias in some college institutions. Brooklyn Williams, who was a student at Aurora University, faced a race-based harassment. He said the locker room was a hostile environment. The students call him the N-word. He's not the first black student to complain about racism in Aurora University. The school previously had an issue with race-based complaint. They call him monkey. That's insulting to black community. The constant pressure of racism could lead to significant trauma and poor mental health. What actions Aurora University took against the accused athletes who called him the N-word? How is Aurora University handling racism? They need to do investigation, explain to the public how they are handling racism at Aurora University right now. Brooklyn Williams said he did not get the support from the coaches or from the school when he complains. He did not get any support from Aurora University after he complained about racism at the school. Why is Brooklyn Williams, a black student, leave his education, his athletic career, lose his scholarship, while the white students who harassed him still have their education and athletic career in Aurora University right now. Shouting racial slurs at black players, they form mistreatment of contributes physical and psychological exhaustion among black athletes. Aurora University needs policy change. How they are addressing the racial abuse. They are facing a racial complaint right now. They need to address it to the public.
Thank you, Sunyat. I'll ask the clerk to please read the name of the next person wishing to offer public comment.
Rick Lawrence.
Welcome, Mr. Lawrence. You have 3 minutes beginning now.
Be polite, be professional, have a plan to kill everyone you meet. It's the guy, John, you're hiring to train our people. Ted, you seem not to have a problem with it, watching your finance committee. Out of all of the people in this country, it comes down to Mike in Arizona that has a UPS store as his office. Now, I'm not going to sit and say this surveillance thing is above board and legit and everything else. I think we have a corporate counsel that should opine publicly on that and put her reputation on the line, whether the unit itself is appropriate. But for the city of Aurora to do business with a guy that puts that on his social media suggests that some of the actions that he's been involved with, he actually believes that. Have a plan to kill everyone you meet. And John, your staff supports hiring this person and encourages the vote to hire this person, to train police officers. You have plenty of time to make an adjustment there, and you chose not to. Don't tell me you can't find somebody else to do it. This is you, your staff. Have a plan to kill everyone you meet. Let me train your people. That's who's in front of you. Mike with his UPS store, the only guy in town. And the only reason this came up is because it was presented to you as a sole source. And everyone accepted that immediately. Sole source, Mike, in his UPS store in Arizona, who's not even a distributor for the equipment. I think that says something about the procedures of hiring people and doing business with somebody that has that as their social media post.
Thank you, Mr. Lawrence. I'll ask the clerk to read the next name of the next person wishing to offer public comment.
Adam Pauley.
Welcome, Mr. Polly. You have 3 minutes beginning now.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. As you know, November 14th is my anniversary. It's my 8-year anniversary of being in public service. It all began here in this chamber. A lot of new faces, a lot of different faces now. I mean, a lot of things change in 8 years. But it all started here. I was lucky enough to have been the youngest person in Illinois history, not only to serve on a regional school board, but to become the president of that body. I've been able to push for LGBT civil rights in our community, and that has been the honor and privilege of a lifetime. And most importantly, you know, it's been a lot of things, but most near and dear to my heart, as many of you know, is mental health and addiction. Working with the city of Aurora to get Narcan in the transportation center, or working with our coroner's office and a nonprofit to distribute directly to our people. In our first 90 days this year, we did over 1,000 units of Narcan, and we're currently at about 1,600. We've done a lot of good work. and that started here. I am proud to be a product of our community and the decency of its people. And I think that decency, I hope that decency shows through each and every day through not just my actions, but the actions of those around me. And I hope that during my time, my principles of decency and solidarity and the dignity of the human person have shone through brightly, and hope. And it's because of this decency and this dignity, I believe that our brightest days still lie ahead. Thank you. I yield the balance of my time.
Thank you, Mr. Pauly. Are there any other members of the public wishing to offer public comment?
There are not, Mr. Mayor.
Thank you, Madam Clerk. This concludes the public comment section. Next, we'll move to committee reports. I'll ask Chairman Mike Seville to give the BZ&E committee report.
Yes, thank you, Mayor. The BZ&E committee met on November 12th, 2025, and reviewed the following item. Ordinance number 25-0885, an ordinance granting a conditional use permit for a community residence, minor 1510 use on the property located at 1130 North Randall Road. The name of their organization is Envision Unlimited. They're proposing to change the special use to a conditional use in order to have 4 adults living there in 4 bedrooms. They'll be staffed by 24/7. These are clients that they have and taken care of that have intellectual challenges. This can go on consent.
Consent.
Okay. If there's no questions or objections, this item will be added to the consent agenda.
And that's the report from BZ&E.
All right. Thank you, Chairman Seville. Next, I'll ask Chairman of the Finance Committee, Alderman Ted Masiacos, to give the finance report.
Thank you, Mayor. The Finance Committee met on November 13th, 2025, and reviewed the following items. Item 25-0378, a resolution authorizing the Director of Purchasing to enter into a purchase agreement with 5A Group for the procurement of a drive test scanner for the Aurora Police Department in the amount not to exceed $170,000. This test scanner was brought before us a while back. It's to bridge a gap in operational needs and functionality at the APD. Presently, the APD is paying from operation funds to outsource and acquire the data already being requested by the court system. Information this test scanner can provide the APD with less time to acquire data and at a reduced cost to the residents. This item is being proposed as slated to be purchased with forfeiture funds and not typical city operation fund dollars. And these are items that have already been discussed at some level, some committee. If there are additional concerns about legal consequences, then I would ask our legal department to chime in. If there are additional concerns in regards to purchasing guidelines, we can hear from Mrs. Jolene Coulter once again. I'm sure she can also verify if the city has any present moral applicability requirements her department has to adhere to when purchasing widgets for the city. If we need a history of this RFP, then the APD can chime in. But first, just a little recap. This first came out of Finance Committee on 5/15/2025, Committee of the Whole 5/20/25, went back to Finance 9/25/2025, came to our committee recently 10/21/2025, made it to City Council on 10/28/2025, and it was sent straight back to Finance Committee for a third time. I would just like to share just a little insight, a gentle reminder, a cordial reminder to our newer members to also keep in mind that COW is also a working committee, and a resolution can be ironed out at the COW level, perhaps even the City Council as well, without having to go all the way back to a base committee for further discussion. So after addressing this resolution to purchase a product for 6 months, utilizing valuable and additional staff time and resources, I know the APD would like to see this resolution move forward with an up and down vote from us on this request. So I will tell you right now, Mayor, I will put it on unfinished, and I will let you continue with any questions from the committee.
Thank you, Chairman. The Alderman is correct. This has been up and down the flagpole. I use that for a reason, but quite a few times. I think we've all had times to ask our questions. There were not a significant amount of questions that came through from the people who voted to send it back to Finance Committee. So either there are no questions or we're holding on to them for some reason. But if we could vet out any questions either tonight or over the next week as this goes, I'd like to take care of this and have it go to an up or down vote. I know it's controversial, but we pretty much come down to having three options. One is we can vote it down and continue doing what we're doing with outsourcing. Second option is to go with a recommendation from 5-8 group. And then the third would be to vote down 5-8 and go with LexisNexis, which would cost more money and probably propel us into a legal challenge from the 5-8 group, who has legitimately won this opportunity to provide the software and training. So those are pretty much our three options as we move into it. I guess I'll open it up if anybody has any questions on this agenda item. It's already going to unfinished. Alderman Seville.
Yes, can our legal counsel address the legal ramifications?
Alderman Seville, can you be a little more specific on, are you asking about the bid?
First,
Yes.
let me ask anybody from APD. I believe that 5-8 group has already threatened to sue us on this. Is that correct? Per my conversation with Chief Thomas.
Good evening, Mayor, Council. Lieutenant Tom McNamara from the Aurora Police Department, Administrative Services Lieutenant. To my direct knowledge, I've heard that, but I have not seen the actual communication. So if that is what the Chief mentioned to you, I would believe that to be true.
Okay. And is that what you were looking to have question answered?
Well, first off, anybody can threaten anything, whether suing or what have you. So I think, we should deal with facts and not necessarily threats as to what could or could not happen based on experience in the law. So my question is with what you were referring to, if the council chooses to not to go with the lower bidder and goes with the other bidder, you said that we have a chance to be challenged and sued. So that's really what I'm asking the Corporation Council to address, is that possibility and what her opinion is.
So as a home rule municipality, we do retain the right to go with, to let our own contracts and go with whichever, bidder we think is more appropriate. Our ordinances that we have enacted do provide a competitive bidding requirement for this council and for staff. However, there's a catch-all in it that allows us to, there's a catch-all in section 2335 C that allows us, it essentially says that nothing in this, in the competitive bidding requirements restricts the, the authority of the city council to enter into contracts or select sources, for select vendors, essentially. So, as far as under, whether or not this is within our municipal authority, it's within our municipal authority. As for whether or not someone will sue, I think that's I haven't heard anything about a threat to sue, but I think, well, I have other opinions on that, but it's not something I think should be discussed publicly.
If I could follow up with a question, Mayor. So are you saying that the council doesn't have to go with the lowest bidder?
Not under your ordinance or under state law.
Okay.
Other questions from the council? Alderwoman Smith.
All right, I'm going to talk about the elephant in the room. Every time we talk about this, we talk about this person as a murderer. I don't know him. I don't know that he's a murderer. I don't know where these accusations are coming from. But this is what's holding us up, is the reputation of the person who is behind this particular surveillance program that we're discussing. So, I mean, we all got to admit that's where we're all stuck right now because of what we're being told online about this. I haven't seen any facts. If you all have seen facts, I would love that we would share this information. I agree with Alderman Masiacos. This has gone back and forth enough times. We either need to make a decision to move on or to accept this. But I really would like to clear this murderer situation up. Has the person murdered 7 people? I don't know. Does anybody have any input on that? What they've heard, what they've looked up, what they've researched? Is this part of the decision-making that's going on here? So it's really, we need to really talk about the real situation that we're dealing with here.
So from the city's perspective and a legal perspective and from procurement's perspective, evaluating this background is not part of the process of determining who wins the bid in a competitive process. I don't know, is Jolene here and able to expand a little bit as far as the selection process goes and what we have or haven't looked into?
Jolene Coulter, Director of Purchasing. Part of the evaluation process, this was an RFP, so we requested a proposal. We requested the equipment, the professional services to train our staff to become certified and be able to do this, respond in court with the correct information and language that they had. That's what we looked at. We didn't look at anybody's, we looked at those qualifications, what they were providing, their experience in providing this service, the equipment, and their references, making sure that they've done this before, they've been successful. That's where we go. That's how we look at it. And then pricing is obviously another piece of that.
So we checked their references to make sure they could carry out the task that we are putting forward in the proposal bid?
Yes.
And that's it?
Yes.
Okay. And then just to refresh the council's memory, what was the next closest bid? We got 2 bids on this. One was LexisNexis.
I believe it was about $195,000. So it's another $25,000 more, $25,000 more.
Does that answer your question, Alderwoman Smith?
Well, I think that was a third party. I think there was more to that bid, wasn't it? The person that we were purchasing from wouldn't be doing the training. Was there something off about that bid? I could be wrong.
The second bid?
Yes.
The second bid, they would still provide the training. I believe it was not as in-depth. 5A Group proposed to bring all the equipment, deliver it to us, stay probably a 2 to 3 day in-house training with whoever we decide at the police department to have trained up on this equipment. That would include classroom, real-world exercises, and it's in the proposal, but in-depth training. I don't think that LexisNexis was as in-depth with that. So the training component of it was one of the aspects that was graded, and as well as the price. The price, I think, in the tabulation was a 20% difference as far as points. So.
And the training process is in the proposal as well, correct, for LexisNexis? Is that in there? I
I
don't remember seeing that.
I don't have the LexisNexis proposal.
Okay.
I have the 5-8 group.
Maybe if we could get that sent out again, that would be good before next week. We could see that again and what the training is. That's all I have, Mayor.
Any further questions on this agenda item?
Mayor?
Alderman White?
Yeah, I have one comment. Looking at 5A Group, I'm all for working with small businesses, and I understand what Alderman Smith is saying about that one individual. However, my concern is I look at this small business who, from what I can tell, has maybe 3 to 5 individuals at the most working for the organization, and tasking that group to train our officers. And 2 of those individuals that are trained, that do training, do have questionable backgrounds. And just looking at 5A Group versus LexisNexis, which has a stronger reputation, personally, I would think that LexisNexis would be around longer to do that training than 5A Group and would have greater resources. So I understand that 5A Group was the lowest bidder, but they're not in Aurora or Illinois, they're in Arizona. So I personally would consider LexisNexis over 5A Group just because of the reputation of one versus the other.
Any other questions or comments from the council?
Mr. Mayor,
Alderman Seville?
could we have the police department to respond to the concerns of the alderman with regard to the qualifications?
Background?
The background of both vendors?
Or to the quality of the training, because we're
Yeah,
involved in the process of evaluating the RFP.
So I'm gonna see if Investigator Darrell Moore can step up and speak towards the training. He is our in-house expert on this technology. He's been to training classes involving all of the technology around cell phones and cell phone data, and he's probably better suited for that.
Good evening, everybody. Glad to speak in front of you today. So as far as the training,
Can you say your name?
Darrell Moore, investigator with the Aurora Police Department. As far as the training, I've attended classes with 5A Group, with the instructor, and also LexisNexis. And I think the training is going to be pretty similar. I don't have an issue with 5A Group, Mike Pizzell, as far as his training. Anytime I've been in his class, it's always been top-notch. I could say the same thing about LexisNexis. And I've done a lot of training with LexisNexis.
Any other questions for Mr. Moore? Okay. Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
If there's no further questions on this agenda item, it'll be on unfinished. What I will suggest is if there's members of the council who are interested in presenting an alternative amendment to go with LexisNexis instead of 5A Group, that work with legal before the next city council meeting and prepare that amendment so it's at least been looked at by legal and we can make a decision. It's on unfinished business at the next meeting.
Mayor, can I make one more comment?
Please do.
And it's going to be brief, because I'm not going to sit here and say I know Mike Pizzell's entire background. But I think if you look into those cases, you're going to see that these are all on the line of duty. He was a police officer. He was a marshal task force officer. So the term murderer, I think, is kind of thrown out there. And I'm not going to say I know every detail about that, but the cases he was involved in were line of duty incidents. I don't know how many. That's all.
Thank you. Thank you both.
Thank you.
I'll ask the Finance Chairman to continue.
Thank you, Mayor. Next item, 25-0799, a resolution authorizing the appropriation and expenditure of MFT funds for snow removal operations in 2026 in an amount up to $1,399,600.
Consent.
If there's no further questions or discussion on this item, it'll be added to the consent agenda.
Next item, 25-0821, a resolution authorizing the city to apply for a second $600,000 grant from the Illinois Department of Natural Resources Open Space Lands Acquisition and Development OSLAD program for improvements at Garfield Park.
Consent.
Any questions or discussion on this agenda item? There being none, it'll be added to the consent agenda.
Next item, 25-0847, a resolution authorizing the city to accept a grant award of $147,375 under a grant agreement between the Driving a Cleaner Illinois through IEPA and the city of Aurora.
Consent.
If there's any other questions or discussion, this item will go on consent. Okay.
Sorry to slow it down. April Fitzhugh, grant writer. I just wanted to let you know that we did add another attachment. So the original attachment is just the summary of award. The second one is what the mayor will actually sign, and it more details the terms of the agreement. They have gone through legal, so the only difference is it's more spelled out.
Any questions for Ms. Fitzhugh?
When was that attachment added?
Today.
Okay,
A
we
few
have to
hours
be a
ago.
little bit more careful about that.
Of course,
Because we
yes.
didn't know it was there, so we didn't have
Right.
time to look at it. Sometimes we do think, you've got to be prepared, and we
Of
can't
course.
be prepared with last-minute attachments. So, but
Yes.
thank you for letting us know, because I didn't see that attachment, because I prepared early this morning for today.
And part of it, I think, was holding on, waiting to look for a funding source for matching funds. Is that correct, or is that something?
I was reviewing all the grants going through today. I noticed the error. It did go through legal. It's standard state terms and conditions. But it's just, sometimes there's transition and positions and making sure that everything is following process is my goal.
Was that brought to the attention of a chief of staff so that we would have known that would have been an update?
We put it through, I believe, 4 o'clock.
Oh, that's
so-
what, yeah.
Yeah,
that's-
the
yeah,
clerk
that's-
sent out an email to ask everybody to
That's-
update there. But she mentioned that I should be here to let you know.
That was too, yeah.
Yeah,
Thank you for
I know.
being here. But
I'm
yeah,
sorry.
That's way too, no, you don't have to be sorry. We
Thank
just
you, April.
Work together. Thank you.
All right, Mayor, that's on consent. Next item, 25-0848. A resolution to accept award number 24-203712, HD 240371, from the Illinois Department of Commerce and Economic Opportunity Program for $2 million.
Consent.
There's no further questions or discussion on this agenda item. It'll be added to the consent agenda.
Next item, Mayor, 25-0881, a resolution authorizing the adjustment of parking fees for the Route 25 and Route 59 transportation centers.
Consent.
Can I put that, I'd like to put that on unfinished.
Okay, we can put that item on unfinished. Are there any questions that you have?
I do, but they're questions that I can do offline. We started getting into it a little bit earlier today, but I just had some constituents ask questions I'd like to get answered before we move forward.
Okay. Anybody wanting a presentation on this agenda item, just to understand what's going on?
No.
Okay. We'll move to the next item under Finance Committee. Thank you, Chairman.
Next item, Mayor, 25-0882, a resolution authorizing the execution of an intergovernmental agreement with the Village of Montgomery and the appropriation of $2 million of MFT funds for the Douglas Avenue resurfacing project.
Consent.
No further questions or discussion on this item. It'll be added to the consent agenda.
2 million.
200,000.
200,000.
200,000, oh, yes. Oh, man, those zeros start to bleed. Okay, thank you very much. I don't have to
Yeah,
repeat the
really,
resolution.
2 million
do I?
would work.
All right.
Agenda item 250882 is presented on your COW agenda will be added to the consent agenda.
Next
Go ahead.
item, Mayor, 25-0922, a resolution authorizing the Fourth Amendment to the Second Amended and Restated Lease between Amri's Mid-America, Inc., formerly known as Holcim Mammer, Inc., and the City of Aurora.
Consent.
Any questions or discussion on this item? If none, it'll be added to the consent agenda.
Next item, 25-0924, an ordinance amending the Ward 6 budget for fiscal year 2025.
Consent.
Mr. Mayor,
Alderwoman Bade.
I had a question. These 3 items, 0924, 926, and 927, for some reason, the forms are blank on Legistar, and I'd mentioned that in the committee too, but they're still blank.
Is this for the Alderman's Chief of Staff or for Finance? Is Rich Jacobs available?
Rich Jacobs, Chief of Staff, Office of Alderman. Discussions have happened last week with the IT, and we're waiting to hear back. I do not know why these particular forms that come from DocuSign are not showing up on your iPads fully filled out. I leave that to our experts on hand.
Okay, we'll iron that out before the city council meeting.
Mr. Mayor.
Alderman Seville.
If you go to the legislation text, it says how much the amount is. It's just that form is not filled out.
Yeah.
Does anybody have any other questions on either any of these agenda items? Okay, we'll try and figure out. Apparently, we know why now.
All right, we'll leave that on consent,
Because
pull it off if we need to.
250924 will be added to the consent agenda.
All right. Next item, 25-0926, an ordinance amending the Ward 1 budget for fiscal year 2025.
Any questions? This item will be added to the consent agenda.
And our last item, Mayor, 25-0927, an ordinance amending the Ward 10 budget for fiscal year 2025.
Okay. Alderwoman Bade?
This is for Ward 10 grant. Can I vote on it, or I have to abstain?
Oh,
No, so I'll put it on unfinished if I can't vote.
You can,
Put it on.
I guess, we can put it on unfinished, but you need to abstain from the vote, yeah.
Okay.
so then we
Unfinished.
should put the other ones on unfinished too, Mayor, the previous two as well.
Yeah.
So the last three items should be on unfinished then.
250926 and 250924 can be added to the unfinished business.
Yes, correct. And the Finance Committee, one last note, also met on November 4th, the 6th, and the 13th to review the proposed 2026 budget. And that concludes the report from the Finance Committee, Mayor.
Thank you, Chairman Masiacos. Next, I'll ask Chairman Carl Franco to give the PHST committee report.
Thank you. The Public Health, Safety, and Transportation Committee met on November 12, 2025, and reviewed the following items. 250876, a resolution establishing the maximum number of Class B on-site consumption liquor license unofficially related to the application from FJC Restaurant LLC at 470 Hinman Street, Ward 3, and the reason for this is an ownership change.
Consent.
If there's no questions or discussion on this item, it'll be added to the consent agenda.
Next one is 25-0887, a resolution establishing the maximum number of Class B on-site consumption liquor licenses unofficially related to the application from Ishwar Hotel LLC, doing business as the Holiday Inn, Holiday Inn North, located 2424 West Sullivan Road, Ward 5. And this is a license for their restaurant because they have new owners.
Consent.
If there's no questions or discussion on this item, it'll be added to the consent agenda.
Next one is 25-0889, a resolution establishing the maximum number of Class D downtown core on-site consumption liquor licenses unofficially related to the application from Vibes on the River LLC, located at 29 West New York Street, Ward 6. And this is also a new restaurant in the old Endiro building.
Consent.
If there's any other questions or discussion, this item will be added to consent.
25-0911, a resolution establishing the maximum number of Class A package sales, gas station, beer and wine only liquor licenses unofficially related to the application from RDK Ventures LLC, doing business at Circle K at 2946 East New York Street. And they just did a remodeling, which is allowing them for the license for beer and wine.
Consent.
If there's no questions or discussion on this item, it'll be added to the consent agenda.
And Mr. Mayor, that concludes the PHST report.
Thank you, Chairman Franco. Next, I'll ask Chairwoman Wani Garza to give the IT committee report.
Yes, Mayor. We met, INT met on November 10, and this is reviewing the following items. The first item in the agenda is 25-0585, a resolution authorizing the purchase of unitary task vehicle with bedding compartment from Alternative Support Apparatus LLC for $61,485.
Consent.
There's no questions or discussion on this item. It'll be added to the consent agenda.
Next item, 25-0783, a resolution authorizing the award of contract to supply processed chemicals for the Water Production Division.
Consent.
There's no questions or discussion on this item. It will be added to the consent agenda.
25-0878, a resolution to accept the proposal received by 26 Water Sewer Maintenance Division Emergency Repair Program.
Consent.
If there's no further questions on this agenda item, it'll be added to the consent agenda.
25-0883, a resolution adopting unit price bids for the on-call full replacement of disturbed lead water service lines in 2026 within the city.
Consent.
If there's no questions or discussions on this item, 250883
25-0910, a resolution authorizing the director.
Hold on one second.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Alderman Seville had a question on
We have just a little bit of
250883.
presentation on this lead water distribution system and the like.
Sure. Is Kurt or Jason available?
Jason's here.
Good afternoon, Jason Bauer with the Department of Public Works. This is for the on-call lead program. Yeah, so when we're doing typical work throughout the year that's not associated with a capital improvement project, and we encounter a lead service that's either leaking or we can't operate the valve, or we just end up damaging one when we're doing some other miscellaneous work, we replace those immediately. We're no longer allowed to do partial replacements as a part of the way the regulations were changed at the end of 2021. So now anytime we encounter one, we just automatically replace it. And sometimes we'll even get a call when we have one that's leaking, and we won't even bother going out and doing any work. We'll just call the on-call contractor, and they'll get out and we'll just put a brand new one in. And this contractor does most of that work with directional boring services. So it's a lot less disruptive to the parkways.
And do you anticipate in succeeding years to be budgeting about the same amount? Or do you think you're wrapping up? This is just the beginning.
This is just the beginning, yeah. So over the past, I would say over the past 5 or so years, we've been ramping up to get to the point where we were going to be able to replace 3% a year. And that's what we're mandated to do by the state. But there is legislation at the federal level that actually changed that to 10%. And that's supposed to start in November of 2027. So as we're monitoring that closely to see if there's going to be any changes or exemptions or anything that might get us to get closer down to that 3%. But if not, then during the budget cycle next year, we'll be bringing that forward, because next year's budget cycle will be preparing for 2027. So we'll have more information as we get through that process.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you, Alderman. So 250883 is on consent, and I'll let Chairwoman Garza proceed with the IT committee report.
Okay, next item is 25-0910, a resolution authorizing the Director of Purchasing to process a change order to the contract with the Crawford Murphy Tile, Inc. for resident inspection and engineering services in the amount of $60,000.
Consent.
No questions or discussion. 250910 will be added to the consent agenda.
25-0914, a resolution authorizing the Director of Purchasing to execute a change order with Rubino Engineering and the amount of $65,000 for material testing service and River Edge Park.
Consent.
There's no discussion or questions on this item. 250914 will be added to the consent agenda.
And we conclude the meeting, Mayor. So.
Thank you, Chairwoman Garza. Next, I'll ask the Vice Chair of the RAP Committee, Alderman Barrero, to give the committee report.
Thank you, Mayor Lash. The Rules and Administration Procedures Committee met on November 4th, and we reviewed the following items. Resolution item number 25-0831, a resolution authorizing the reappointments of Jonathan Hilton, John Savage, and Mike Bauman to the Aurora Civic Center Authority Board.
Consent.
No further questions. This item will be added to the consent agenda.
And also, we reviewed item 25-0862, a resolution authorizing the Ward 4 Residential and Business Storm Damage Grant Program for qualifying residences and businesses within the 4th Ward, reimbursement up to a maximum of $1,500 per project per year for any storm damage replacement costs. This is informational only. And the last item was adopted at our last City Council meeting. And so that concludes our RAP Committee report.
Thank you, Vice Chair Barrero. Okay, next we have one item under new business. I'll ask clerk, please read that agenda item.
250949, an ordinance amending ordinance number 025066, authorizing the 2025 voluntary reduction in force incentive plan.
Are there any questions or discussion on this agenda item? Short presentation by HR.
Hi, Michelle Clark, Interim Chief Human Resource Officer.
So this is, you may recall the original VRIF allowed for staff to stay and work until 1 December. And then there were those who were able to stay beyond 1 December if they had, if they were going to hit a retirement milestone before the 31st of December. And so as we started to go through this process, what we identified was that there was a group of employees who would actually hit a retirement milestone, a group of employees who were interested in taking the VRIF, but would also hit a retirement milestone in the first quarter. And so what this item allows them to do is take advantage of the VRIF, but they would then remain, they would be leaving at different periods during that first quarter, but the last person would exit on the 3rd of March. So that's what this item allows us to do.
So it's a slight adjustment to the
It's a-
VRIF.
Exactly. It's the exit dates that change.
Are there any questions or discussion on this agenda item?
So would they just be working until the day they leave, or would they be on some kind of leave until that, that period when, from December 1st or whenever?
Yeah, so what's interesting is we have multiple people who are in this situation. Each situation is different to get them to their retirement milestone. So yes and no.
It's an individual case. So
Correct. It's case
that's
by
fine,
case.
right.
They'll
'Cause I
have
knew
s-
that could
they'll
be a
have-
fact. I just didn't know how
yes.
that worked out. Okay.
And I think it's only a handful, 4 or 5 people, right?
It's 7 total.
7.
Yeah.
Thank you.
All right, thank you.
Mhm.
Any other questions or discussion?
Consent.
No further questions. This item will be added to the consent agenda.
Thank you.
Thank you. Next, we will move to Alderman's Corner. Alderwoman Bade, you're on.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Good evening, everyone. I'm honored and humbled to be able to present Alderman's Corner for Ward 10. What a busy and productive year it has been. I would like to express my gratitude to all the volunteers and patrons. Ward 10 community service events were so successful because of your dedication and support. These are the things I'm going to go over today. After listening to the residents and identifying needs in our community, I focused on creating solutions that would bring us together and improve our quality of life. This included launching a community newsletter and organizing several meaningful community service events throughout Ward 10. Ward 10 hosted 2 neighborhood cleanup events this year, which provided significant benefits to our community. The cleanup promotes environmental stewardship, reduces landfill waste, reduces pollution, encourages sustainable consumption, help keep neighborhoods clean, promotes reuse, reduce, and recycle. Most notably, approximately 17 tons of items were successfully recycled at these 2 Ward 10 neighborhood cleanups in 2025. Okay. Next was the annual Back to School and Ice Cream Social. Here are some pictures from the 5th Back to School and Ice Cream Social event. Over 1,200 people attended this event, where students received backpacks and school supplies to prepare them for the upcoming school year. The celebration featured live music, a petting zoo, pony rides, games, and arts and crafts, and other activities for all ages. In collaboration with Cool DuPage and Ward 8 and 9, we organized our annual shred event at the Fire Station 8. This event helps the residents shred and recycle sensitive documents. I want to give special recognition to Curtis Wilson, Jesus Carventis, and all the volunteers who stayed and helped despite being soaked during this pouring rain and thunderstorm day.
Rain or shine.
Rain or shine. Next was Family Fall Festival. This was the 5th Family Fall Festival. Families enjoyed face painting, jewelry making, treasure chest decoration, pumpkin painting, and many other fun activities. And residents also created some amusing 360 videos. And here are some pictures. Trick or Treat brought our community together for a safe and fun-filled Halloween celebration that families truly enjoyed. Some pictures from the event. Okay. Here's a quick lineup of all the events this year. Neighborhood cleanup was in April, first one in April, then back to school in August. Shred event was in September, Family Fall Festival in September. Neighborhood cleanup, the next one was in October, and Trick or Treat was also in October. To keep residents informed about what's happening in Aurora and the Ward 10 area, I launched a newsletter delivered directly to Ward 10 residents' doorsteps. This year's edition is currently in progress and will include contact information of my office and the Alderman's office, how to reach City Hall and the customer service call center, details about block party grant applications, Ward 10 grants for community enhancement and improvements, updates on community engagement, interactions, and much more. Creating awareness about speeding, which is a constant concern brought up by the residents. In my newsletter and at my community meetings, I remind everyone to please slow down and drive safe. I share information about speeding concerns and speed trailer placement based on feedback from Homeowners Association and residents. I also arrange for speed trailers to be positioned at various locations throughout the ward if needed. Also, I request for a traffic study to have a speed radar sign placed if it's requested by the residents. Sidewalk projects. The City of Aurora's engineering department completed several sidewalk projects this year. Ward 10 sidewalks around 65 locations, and about 10 streets worth of patching was done this year. Fire Station 8 road resurfacing was completed. Standalone federal projects, Indian Trail resurfacing, Kane DuPage line, county line to Eola completed. Liberty Street resurfacing, Eola to Commons completed. North Aurora Road underpass with Naperville and Naperville Township started week of 9/29/2025 and is expected to be completed by the end of 2027. Road resurfacing projects. Several road resurfacing projects for 2025 were completed this year. Some of the streets are mentioned here: West Hampton Court, Knight Bridge Court, Prospect Drive, Norwalk Court, Radford Drive, Radcliffe Lane, Ashford Lane, Oxford Court, Half Moon Circle, Hammond Way, Sunlight Court, Pine Cone Court. Some pictures from completed infrastructure projects. Overview of some upcoming projects. 2026 yearly citywide resurfacing list is in progress. Other standalone federal projects: Stonebridge resurfacing for all of Stonebridge, Deal and Molitor resurfacing, Safe Routes to School project, intersection and signing improvement on Stonebridge Boulevard from Indian Trail to Sutton Lane and along with Hammond Way and Firestone Lane. Phase 2 design engineering 99% complete, targeting early 2026 letting and construction mid-2026. Dependent on land acquisition, and project may be little delayed. It is dependent on land acquisition. Other federal IDOT Phase 1 and Phase 2 projects: New York Street Safety Improvement Commons to entrance number 6 in phase 1, about to start phase 2, likely late 2026 with 2027 construction. Commons Drive resurfacing with Fox Valley Mall area signal modernization, phase 1 to start late 2025 and likely to finish by 2029. Upcoming event, here's a short video from last year's.
You got some choreography, I want to see you.
So this video was from 2024's Winterfest, and I would like to invite everyone to this year's Winterfest, which will be on December 13th from 1 to 4 p.m. at the Fox Valley Mall Center Court. Okay. Ward 10 community meetings are held at the Fire Station 8, Aurora Police Department, Aurora Fire Department, Senior Services, and Customer Service Departments gave excellent updates about various community projects at my meetings this year. Finally, a quick roundup of the community engagement.
Despite the cold, people still showed up to honor those who have made.
A special thanks to Rich, Cynthia, Crystal, Ashley, and Mason from the Alderman's office and all the city departments. Thank you all for your continued support and involvement in making Ward 10 and City of Aurora a wonderful place to live. And thank you all for your time. Thank you, Mr. Mayor.
Thank you, Alderwoman Bade. Another quick reminder, November 21st, I'm sure everybody's aware, the tree lighting, the parade, Chris Kindle, show at the Paramount and Copley, I believe. So it's going to be an exciting Friday. Hope to see everybody out there. There's no reason for a closed session.
Motion to
and
adjourn.
is there a motion to adjourn made by Alderman Franco, seconded by Alderwoman Smith? All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. This meeting is adjourned at 6:35 p.m.